Hey, welcome to On the Comic Edge, episode 18, brought to you by CompleteGeekRadio.com. Sorry for the late episode. I planned on doing it last night, but some stuff happened in Eve that we'll probably be talking about in tonight's episode of Complete Geek Radio, so you'll find out then. Anyway, on to comics, because comics are what you are here for. Iron Man 2.0, number 6, Fear Itself spin-off, Spencer Olivetti and Di Giandomenico. I said that right. I don't know if I've really mentioned this before, but I am a huge fan of Iron Fist and the Immortal Weapons. They had their own comic a little while ago. Completely blew me away, and I was really sad to see it go. I'm really glad to see that the characters are still sort of kicking around, doing stuff, that they're being used, that they're still vital. Although I really hate the Iron Fist's new outfit. The white and gold looks absolutely cheesy. The olive green looked and gold looked so much cooler. But anyway, it's first off there's a prologue and epilogue, and the core story and in the core bit of this book. And the prologue and epilogue have their own artist, and the core has its own artist. I'm not a fan of whoever was doing. I honestly don't know. I think it was Matt Wilson. I'm not a fan of the way he draws his characters. They seem very heavy metal, like not heavy metal as in. I mean heavy metal as in the movies, which were absolutely atrocious. And if you liked those movies, write me angry email. Go right ahead. Yeah, but I wasn't a fan. The color is very bright. He obviously knows how to use like computer generated imagery very well, but his lines are bleh. Anyway, but that being said, the core story, I'm really liking the art because it's clean. My only qualm about it is that you have Iron Man, and then you have all these like classic old, and by classic I don't mean comic book classic, I mean old characters, old world characters, and you really can't tell a difference between War Machine's armor and their skin. The skin is more detailed, yes, but that's just a matter of texture. There's no sheen on it. Maybe there's not supposed to be. There was in other comics that had War Machine in it, or Iron Man 2.0. I'm just gonna call him War Machine. Jim Rhodes. There you go. So I don't know. Other than that, it was really cool. There's an awesome escalation with this character named Sun Wukong, and those of you who know Chinese mythology will recognize the name, I think. And it's really cool how they're mixing this more or less 3 competing stories into this one event. Now, another qualm I have with this, and this isn't really about the book. It's more about they took Iron Man 2.0 from what was a really cool story, which was in his own comic, and it just seems to be over. And it was just very cool. I'm saying cool a lot today. And I don't know if they're going to continue it later, but I really hope so, because that was a very interesting story. The art is pretty fantastic. The dialogue is short, but it tends to keep an even pace throughout, and a good one. So, good comic for you to check out. Even if you're not a huge fan of the involved characters, it's a fun read. Moving on, Batman, Gates of Gotham, number 2. Snyder, Higgins, and McCarthy. It's first off, it's quite a thick book, and I can't really tell if it's because of this this damn comic in the middle that has to do with Subway, and NASCAR and basketball, or if it's just a bigger comic than usual. But that's fine because I like, getting more bang for my buck. I'm liking the art because it goes from sort of the sepia old-timey to new very well. He does there's so many different levels of black in this. I was actually noticing that I was pretty blown away. What really made this comic, though, is that interaction between the different characters. And when you have a more verbose bat cast, you have Batman, you have Robin, you have you have Batman, who used to be Nightwing, and he's still dealing with that. You have Damian, the new Robin. He has a lot to deal with. You have the Black Bat, I think, Cassandra Cain, who's just an interesting character, throughout. And you have Tim Drake, who is Red Robin. Add on to that, you have two stories here running in tandem. One is what's going on now with this whole terrorism thing. And one is this sort of a backstory of how Gotham was built. And you know that the two stories are going to converge. They're already sort of like bumping up against each other. The parallels are there. It's very, very obvious. So it's being very well told. But if you're a huge fan of the Batman series, books, then knowing the genesis of Gotham City is just very, very interesting. There's not a hell of a lot of dialogue. In fact, the most verbose reading was out of Tim. This one part with Tim Drake and Cassandra Cain talking, and sort of an inner monologue that that Batman has, which, I'm kind of wondering if people like his tone as Batman or if they like Bruce Wayne's tone as Batman, because even the inner monologues, very, very different. Personally, I like them both for what they are. So, and when they're both in a comic, good times to be had. So, the art, the writing, the direction that this comic is going. You see yet another Batman book on the shelf, and you're like, I don't know. But I think it's worth to pick up. Also, the villain who's sort of being fleshed out now is kind of steampunky, which is just cool. If I could build this guy's outfit, I would. And you know what? I'm gonna try, because I need a steampunk outfit, and this is pretty much what I'm looking for. So once we get more art on him, I'm gonna send it off to some people and see what we can do. Last up, Carnage, Wells, Crane, 5 of 5. And you know what? 5 of 5. I give it a 5 out of 5. Even though I don't have a rating system. It's a fantastic little book. They couldn't have really ended it in any way better. The art is pure Crane awesomeness. The writing is completely on point, and it ends with a few interesting little, here is something that can be built on later. Do I want to really spoil it for you? No, but it's really cool. I've always kind of liked the whole symbiote thing. There's just so much that can be played around with it, especially now that people know more about biotechnology and nanotechnology and genetic engineering. Playing around with the whole idea of sentient symbiotes, there's so much there. They've tried to mess around with it. There was hybrid, there was toxin. They keep screwing around with Venom. I don't know why. Venom is a dead character. Marvel, stop. Flash Thompson has it. Like, how deep do you have to dig to keep this character alive? Carnage is a fantastic villain. One of my first major I probably mentioned this before. One of my first major events that I got into was Maximum Carnage. fantastic story. I just never had enough money to get it all, but I had a trade, and oh man, I read that thing until it fell apart. So it was really cool. There's some great characters here. I'm wondering where Clayton Crane is going from this point. And there's some new standards with a few different characters. Check it out. Oh, last page. Yeah, okay, that's where Clayton Crane's going. Clayton Crane and Zeb Wells have a new project. Yeah, I'll spoil it for you. Carnage USA. That, I'm telling you, that I'm going to read. And when number 1 comes out, you better believe I'm going to be talking about it on Complete Geek Radio, which is this show, which is what you're watching right now. Why are you watching it? Because you're awesome, and I love you. And we need to get together and hang out, and it would be cool. All right? So we'll chat. You know what? I got to figure out some sort of chat option. People want to talk to me. But, I mean, we have email. So edge@completegeekradio.com. Send me an email. I mean, put OTCE in the header if you want, and I will be sure to get to you. I'm answering emails a lot faster now because I have it linked into my iPhone. So, all right. So, thank you for watching. My name is Edge, and stay geeky.